So I've been, I'm essentially catching up on shit. This is kind of what things are gonna be, I think, for a minute. I don't know if it's gonna be like this consistently with my responsibilities as a supervisor and whatnot. You know, being able to keep up with stuff during the week is a reality, which is cool. But at the same time, though, I am very I do my job, so it does leave a bit of room for things to be kept up with on the weekend. That's just what it is. But I'm catching up on stuff over the weekend, and I don't. If you frequent this channel, you know that I don't like to just immediately jump onto bandwagon shit. I don't immediately jump onto narratives. Um, but I do also acknowledge situations. And has anyone realized that, like, the concept of capitalism is falling? It's happening. Falling may not be the right word because capitalism is not gonna quickly go anywhere. Um, Media specifically is a capitalist venture and is a capitalist system. So, like, what you see may not be what is actually happening as far as capitalist, like, perspective goes. But people are fucking pissed. People that can see that capitalism and the way that capitalism works is not cool are starting to, like, go out into the streets right now in multiple countries for multiple reasons, unconnected, like the narratives that are fueling that are not at all connected, not even close. The reasoning for what's happening in those countries is capitalism. But as far as, like, everyone going out into the streets and, like, doing, demonstrations and shit, they're not connected. I mean, you can look at one place and it's a completely different thing, a different reason. Like, and I like to try to use fairly popular platforms to display what I'm talking about. Channel 5 is fairly popular. Andrew, Callahan comes off of the heels of a very big platform that was stolen from him by shitty producers, by a shitty company that took his work, his art. Channel 5 is really cool, though. If you're not familiar with Channel 5, go look it up. I feel like you should be able to find it. I don't want to do work for you, man. I talk about stuff sometimes, and if you find it, cool. If not, I don't know, fucking do better. I don't know what to say past that, but, like, um, he put a video up about an hour ago talking about UK riots, and I feel like if you are looking for that, you probably won't find it right now. There's a lot of shit that happens that you won't find because media specifically, like, shies away from certain things, especially where you are. Like, I'm in the United States, and if you were to look for specific topics, you're not going to find those specific topics. There's a bunch of shit happening in Africa right now. You won't find that. You're not going to find that unless you subscribe to people that talk about it. Night Flight is a really good channel that is talking about things that are happening in South Africa and Africa. very consistently. But there's others too. Like, it's just a matter of, do you are you looking? Do you give a fuck to find these things? And I'm not trying to make those that don't find them consistently feel as though they're like not a global citizen or whatever the fuck. That's stupid too. I'm just saying, like, there's if you watch this channel, I feel like you understand that there is a lot of shit that is not covered heavily, or it's not like, you know, it's not dispersed in a way that is easily accessible to the majority. You have to really do a little bit of, and it's not a lot of work, dude. Like, I don't do a lot of work to find this shit. None of it. I don't do a lot of work to do any of this. Like, I just give a fuck. That's it. I give a fuck, so I look a little bit deeper, and then I find a bunch of shit. Past that, like, I'm not, dude, I'm not. This place, I talk about how weird this place is, and I mean that. So, I'm not doing a bunch of work to find who's looking into the working class and who's looking into the capitalism. Like, essentially, I view that as a distraction. It is very real, but it is also a distraction, you know? Real things are used as distractions consistently. That's how they are, successful. So it's it's hard. It's hard even for people who are of like mind with myself, where we look at it like, you know what, that doesn't fucking matter on a world scale, but it also matters very much to those beings that are in that place, because they used real lives to stoke the flames of that place. They killed real people in that place to stoke the flames. And can you look past that? Can you look past the very real lives that were extinguished to cause the rage and you know the political anger that is coming out of those places? I can't and wouldn't even try to censor those voices, because I can't. It does whatever the fuck is going on in these local places, these local, not towns but countries. That's not on me, and I am not at all shy about that or delusional about that. What I see is that there's very specific, like, there's very specific shit that's being politicized, and it's they're doing that for a fucking reason, bro. Like, the cool thing is I'm starting to see these, like, I'm starting to see these platforms that do have somewhat of a voice. It's not to say that they're, CNN or some shit, but they have a voice, and they're actually trying to, like, put a spotlight on things that you wouldn't usually see. I love that. That's great. This is shit that used to be kind of like just punk rock shit. Literally, that's what, you know Rastafarianism was. That's what punk rock was. That's what these are things that you wouldn't have heard about unless you were a part of a movement, a real movement. Rastafarianism is a movement. It has nothing to do with fucking, like, religion. It adopted that after a certain point, but if you go research what Rastafarianism was, it was a movement having to do with working class people. Same thing with punk rock. Like, once you get into punk and you start to see, like, what the the punks did, all, versions of punk, crust punk, straight edge, like, it was working class shit. It was working class shit trying to make a voice for beings that were done with this. Just frustrated with being shit on and frustrated with being like taken advantage of by those that didn't even show their face in real society. All you saw them on at the time was like newspapers and articles and shit, and maybe you saw them on the TV, but past that, it's like I've never even fucking met this dude, and he's speaking for an entire class of people, or an entire group, an entire city, an entire town, an entire like state of people. That's still happening now. Papal society, like what the fuck are we doing? Where we follow these people that we've never even met. We talk about the concept of tribal society, tribalism. I do anyway. I talk about that. And these tribes form behind people that no one in the tribe has even met. That's not real. That's new shit. That is new shit that I honestly don't understand where the fuck that came from. Why would you fall? I don't know who the fuck Kamala Harris is, dude. And I've had to unsubscribe from channels that I thought were somewhat like, you know, not neutral. Obviously, they weren't neutral, but like I thought that they, at the very least, weren't. I don't know. I don't know what to call it, but like I've had to unsubscribe from channels where all of a sudden they're like pushing this intense narrative, and it's it's painfully obvious that someone has approached you and said, look, just push this person, push our candidate, and we'll give you money, even if just from the concept of like we'll give you money from views. But I don't think it's views because they're not. I don't follow a lot of very like high up channels. I just don't. I don't think I'm doing that intentionally, but I follow the wisdom. I follow the research. You know, Amazing Lucas, is that his name? That's one that I unfollowed him very recently because like I don't even understand where that dude's head's at anymore. I don't really fuck with politics on that level, but I do like to keep an eye on things. And I thought maybe that he was somewhat mid row as far as all that shit goes. And then I guess politics recently have come to a level of like, oh well, the dude that's sitting in the chair now is basically dead, and who's gonna take his place, and all that bullshit. And this dude has just fully immersed himself into that, and I had to unfollow him because very quickly, with no transition, he started talking about like politics stuff, and like talking about how Kamala is our last hope and all this shit. And I'm like, that that chick's a fucking idiot, man. Like all of the things that I've seen do not show a great hope. She's not a smart person. Like, and seems to be arm candy. Like there's very clear depictions of her essentially being the arm candy of a fucking early reality show star. Like what the fuck is happening in that arena, you know? And if you're paying enough attention to be like fuck that, that's stupid. Um it feels like you're very quickly labeled as like, another thing. So I'm just unfollowing a bunch of shit right now, and that's fine. But it's weird. It's definitely weird because you start to see these channels just take these hard like turns, where they were talking about shit that had, little or nothing to do with that, or they talk about like other clip channels. Basically, I talked about clip channels earlier, but that's a very broad distinction within YouTube. Um, but yeah, it's thankfully there are other channels like for real. If you are unfamiliar with Channel 5, go take a look at the most recent video from Channel 5 because documentaries are known to be somewhat like divisive and like coming from a specific standpoint, but like Channel 5's depiction of the UK riots is like giving you all the angles of a very real situation that is being thrust upon a people, you know, not just one society or one group of beings within that society. It's being thrust on them as a whole. And like they're fighting each other physically. They're physically fighting each other over shit that is very likely similar to the shit that's going on in other countries. Like here we have the CIA that does stuff to pit one group of people against another group of people so that you don't look above that and see like, oh, just a bunch of rich fucks doing stuff to keep you from paying attention to them. That is essentially what is happening across the realm, globe, earth, whatever the fuck you want to call it. I don't want to argue about that. That is, though, the common situation. You know, capitalism is fucked. That is a thing. I think that many people now are starting to like become more vocal about that. It's not a matter of realizing it. Everyone understands and has understood for a significant amount of time that capitalism and money is fucked. That is a fucked system that causes shit. It's not a new concept. That's just something that has been it's ebbing and flowing. I think now though that it's ebbing pretty fucking hard because people are starting to say not only am I gonna fucking say something about this, I'm gonna make sure as many people hear it as possible. And while even though I understand that in itself, the fact that it reached me informationally means that someone wanted me to see it, that means that there's enough people trying that it reached me. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, media is controlled. That doesn't just mean CNN and MSNBC and all the fucking bullshit channels and shit. All of it. YouTube, Instagram, Threads, X, all of that shit is media. Media is controlled. Media is controlled. Media is controlled. But to an extent, if it gets to a point where it's like fuck, I mean there's so many that are speaking about this or so many that are trying to like get this information out, we got to spin this. Once you hear that specific term or phrase, we got to spin this, it means that you're having trouble with even like dealing with the thing, which is a start. We only ever get to a start, by the way. We only ever get to a start. If we could just keep pushing the thing, pushing the real narratives or the real situations in our areas, our countries, then we would start to see the beginnings of change. Not real change, the beginnings of change. And like again, that's why I really feel like channels like Channel 5, I don't know if there's other ones. I try to stay out of political shit to be honest, but Channel 5 was funny. And he used to go to like gatherings, like you know Burning Man and fucking you know festivals and shit, and I thought those were funny. But anyway, he's not doing that anymore. He's very political now apparently, and if it, the essentially, if it wasn't that I was already subscribed to his channel, I wouldn't know anything about the fucking UK riots. I don't live in the UK. I don't live in Europe. I don't go to Europe. I don't travel outside of my own home country. And I say home country very um I'll just say my own country. Home is a huge stretch. Um but there's shit going on, and like I said, there's Night Flight as well, where there's stuff going on in Africa, in Europe, in Spain, in South America. There's shit going on in all these places that you won't hear about unless you make an effort to hear about it. Unless you make an effort to pay attention, you won't know any of this shit is going on, and you'll just think like, "Oh, inflation in America sucks, right?" Sure, but like, if you believe in the concept of separation of countries and separation of governments, then you'll see that there's shit going on in places outside of your own also that could affect you. If you, for instance, like Spanish food or some shit, I don't fucking know. That you'll see like, oh, well, it's gonna cost me a lot more money. I don't know. Whatever the thing is, whatever gets you to pay attention to shit outside of where you are, you might start to see that things are not just looking bleak in your area. They're looking bleak everywhere. People are pissed everywhere. And spinning it is becoming more difficult as time as moments pass. Spinning it is becoming more difficult for those that are in, not in power necessarily, but those that are in the places they've been delegated to control the narrative. You can control the narrative to a point, but I think that we've gotten this under control, or um, capability enough to where we can like float shit kind of, somewhere, whether it be on YouTube or TikTok. I'm not on TikTok. I don't fucking know. I have no idea what's going on TikTok. But it seems to me that enough little platforms are getting shit floated to where bigger platforms that are thirsty for new shit to talk about are like, oh shit, there's this going on, and there's this going on, and there's this going on. They're all looking for shit that other people aren't talking about, and even though they might be doing it for a capitalist reason, they're they're bringing awareness to things that we maybe wouldn't know anything about. We wouldn't know shit about that if they weren't so desperate for a unique story, you know? And so, dude, I don't even know what I'm trying to say to you or to bring to you other than, can we like band together? Can we use this for a thing? I see it starting, and I'm metering and measuring my response to it because I don't want to get excited. I don't want to get like behind a specific thing because I'm like, I've done that so many times mentally, and then literally nothing fucking happened. Most recently, 2020. People actually went out and did shit. I didn't go out and do shit because of where I was living at the time. I would have just gotten shot in the fucking face. But people went out and did shit, but it was for the wrong reasons, and they did the wrong shit, and it accomplished zero other than like hurting neighbors. Essentially, you burned neighbors' shit down and neighbors' businesses and dreams and shit, and then said that you were fighting the man who just filed insurance claims and made a profit off of the bullshit that you did. Cool. Good job, you know? So I am notoriously a pessimist. I am not quiet about that at all. I am a pessimist. I am a realist, extreme realist and pessimist. But like, I'm starting to see like these quiet rumblings across the realm, different continents are like, you know what, man, fuck this. You're using money to just subjugate me and make me feel like less than a human or less than a being. And fuck that. I've been working my entire life since before I was even an adult. That's what I'm seeing. And it's making me feel the little tingles of excitement. Like, are we doing this? Are we doing this? Because, like, if I really see it, are we doing this? But again, like I said, 2020, we were not doing this, you know? So you can't get too excited, you can't get too invested in that shit because many times even the things that you see are controlled opposition. You know the 2020 shit, the videos came out very quickly of a random all encompassed in black being busting windows out before anyone did anything violent, and a very militarized disposition on this being that wasn't connected to any people. They didn't have any friends with him. As a single actor. You know, uh, there's a depiction of that in is it Desperado or Once Upon a Time in Mexico? Johnny Depp basically explains the CIA's connection to shit happening in places. Operators of chaos, that is a job. You can get paid for that. You can get deputized to go to places and do bullshit, and they'll pay you for it. So you have to be careful with the things that you fall behind because it may not be a real thing. It may just be some fucking old white guys that are like, oh, we got to get a handle on that, right? So I don't know, man. I fucking hate politics. It's all I have to curve the way that I talk because they get upset. It's all dumb. Dumb's an okay word, right? It's all dumb. It's not real, but some of it is real. So, are we doing this or are we not doing this? I keep asking this question, and we're never really doing it. Just a bunch of like, it's like the same concept as fucking background actors. It's always like the same types of people that really want to be in a background scene of fucking The Walking Dead or some stupid shit. Same caliber of people are the ones that are within these demonstrations and all that shit. It's so fucking stupid. It's so fucking dumb. Um, yeah. So, are we doing this, or is it a bunch of fucking stand-ins that are getting paid $50 a day to just yell into mics? Go watch the video. Go watch the Channel 5 video. UK riots. It's not hidden. It's very easily seen. The reason I'm even making this is because like I see the UK riots video from Channel 5, then I also see the last few weeks of content coming from Night Flight has been like African shit, South African shit, and African shit. There's stuff going on there with bricks and all that shit. And it's like very much if you pay attention to my channel, I don't like politics. That shit is gay. I don't give a fuck about politics, but at the same time, it has a real effect on it's a ripple effect on our experiences. So I from afar like just kind of I don't even watch the videos most of the time. It's honestly happenstance that I watched this Channel 5 video, but I try to pay attention to the titles of their videos so I can kind of get an understanding of like what's going on currently. Because I still have to go out into public. So if everything is in a complete meltdown and, right is shanking the fuck out of left in public, I need to know that. I do need to know that because if I have to do a thing when I go out into public, I would like to know that going like entering the public arena. But um, it seems very much like shit is popping off in a lot of areas, and that is not being publicized. And I wonder if it will actually continue because it started in 2020, but then it was very quietly and quickly quelled. Is that going to happen this time? Because inflation's not going to stop. It's going to get worse. Inflation is going to continue to go upward. You're going to pay more money for your shit going further. I just did some digging on it today. Inflation will not be healed. They're going to talk about student loan debt and how that's supposed to help us all feel better. But I don't give a fuck about that. How much does my food cost? How much are you charging me for my food? I don't give a. I don't. I'm not gonna give you money for student loan shit anyway. Fuck you. I didn't even graduate. I tried a few times to go to school, and then I was like, you know what? This is dumb. I need money to survive. So fuck this. So I'm not giving you money for that. That's your system that you created, and it doesn't work correctly. Never has worked correctly for the entire time that I've been an adult. So fuck you. I'm not going to give you money. And uh, I think that many other beings are starting to feel the same within this physical experience that we are having here. So, uh, you know, as far as the things that do matter, like food and gas and rent and mortgages, like I think people are looking at that like, damn, I you're raising these things on me, but I haven't gotten a raise in my entire life. Not just recently, but ever. I've never gotten a raise. That is the common story for most working class people, and you're starting to see the rumblings of that in other places. Again, I am in America. You're not seeing the rumblings of that here because Americans are pussies that only are retroactive. We are retroactive actors, right? And even that, many times, agents of chaos, CIA actors that spark things that are supposed to happen. We don't do shit because we're actually pissed. Agents of chaos from government agencies get us, spark us to do things in this country. But in other countries, though, they don't fucking play like that. Like you get them mad and they'll fuck around, you know? So what are we doing? I guess is my question. What's happening, you know? Because in other countries I'm starting to see them do shit. And it gets me hype. It gets me excited. But I don't live there. So I get hype and then I go outside and there's a gas station with a dude asking me for a fucking dollar and a cigarette. And that's about it. That's all that's going on. So I go outside and I'm like, let's fucking go. And then there's nothing. So uh, that's depressing. But again, in other countries, they're not playing. Like, apparently, you can't really trust documentaries either because it's just niggas with cameras being like, hey, what are you doing? What's, what's your name? You know? I don't know, man. It would be really cool. My entire life, I'm almost 40 years old, and my entire life, I've just been in the back of my head like, can we just fucking get popping? And, you know, but I'm not going to be the instigator of that. I made a video very recently that talked about how even just me doing this, my ex is using this to call me names and to try to take my son from me so that I can't see it. So like I'm not I'm not endorsing any specific actions, but like I am tired. I am a being who has been living in this realm just like the rest of you, and I am tired. So, like, I should be able to say that out loud. I shouldn't have to keep that to myself. I have to work, I have to pay taxes, so I have a voice, right? Or do I not? You just let me know if I can't say things. You just tell me, and I'll shut the fuck up. I really won't. I won't shut the fuck up because I know what the thing is. I work and I pay taxes, so I should have somewhat of a voice to speak at the very least. I'm not a politician. I'm not a lobbyist. I don't claim to be. So there's a distinction there, but I do speak because I am allowed to do that. But it's being used against me. I haven't seen my son for a significant amount of months just because I do this. Literally. No police reports, no arrests, no significant, situations. But because I choose to speak, that can be used to confuse courts or, dumb people that sit on. All right, maybe I should. I shouldn't. What the fuck are we doing, man? What are we doing? But can we decide that? 2020 was very stupid. We're very easily led to do dumb shit for. I think if you would have stuck a mic in the face of many of the beings that were doing the most gnarly shit at those times, they would have been like, I don't know, bro. I just want some fucking. I want some shoes, and obviously the fucking Gucci store is broken into. That's dumb. Can we are we past that now? Did we get that out of our systems and we're actually going to do some real shit now? Or is it still stupid? Because I feel like it's potentially still stupid and it's hard to feel hope. It's hard to feel hope, and that's why at least on this channel I really don't talk about politics too much because it is dumb. Politics and people that focus on that heavily are dumb. If you believe in that stuff so heavily, where you feel as though your party is a real party and has a separation or difference from the opposing party, you are dumb. Like, that's not a real thing. That's not real, you know? That's all theater. So I just don't talk about it because it's stupid. I've made that, I think, fairly clear within other videos that I've made. I think we focus on that too much. I think that beings that claim themselves to be smart or think themselves to be intelligent are like, but number 45 is going to fix this shit. And it's like, bruh, sure, things may be a little bit better with one versus the other, but that shit's not real. Like, it's the same people. They're all the same people. They are literally, physically related to each other. Blood relation, you know? I don't know. Anyway, man, sometimes I watch stuff and it makes me like upset enough to do this. And that just happened. Go watch that Channel 5 video, UK riots. Night Flight also has been posting about stuff happening in Africa for the past few weeks, especially on Patreon. So there's stuff happening around the world if you want to pay attention to that. If you're not just in a specific country where it seems like stuff's happening but it's not. Just saying. Uh, Maybe things will change. I tend to not believe that, though. I think that this is all theater. Everything that we're seeing is for the sake of, like, me, what I'm doing right now, ranting for a good 15, 20 minutes. Even that. And then the more crazy situations where people go out into the streets and do stuff and burn stuff and hit stuff and people and shit. Like, it's meant to do a thing, but is it really going to change the things that are happening to us as a people and a society? Generally, no, because if it was, it would just do that. It wouldn't cause all this, like, rah, I'm fucking mad, you know? But it could. Enough beings could see shit like what I'm saying to you right now, or Channel Five's reportings and documentary shit within other countries and be like, you know what, fuck this. And like in a real direction instead of like instantly joining a party. If you go watch that video, you'll notice that he positions it to show that there are two very specific parties. There's the far right that comes from the TV, you know, people on the TV keep calling certain people far right. And then like there's the left, the libs. Same thing as in America and probably other countries as well. It's always a two-party thing. It's tribalism. We're dumb. I talked about that in the video that I put out earlier today. We are collectively we're dumb. I don't think that we're dumb as individuals or even small groups. I think that once you start to like try to tribalize and make things larger, we are dumb as societies. It's very easy to like get us to like one or the other, which is that how life works in regular life? No, man. This is very like specific. There's not one choice or the other in life. There's many different choices, and you have to make the right one based on intelligence and experience. But then when it comes to huge shit, very big shit like politics, it's like, well, do you want it red or blue? That's fucking stupid. There's so many other choices, and we're not given those. I don't know. I'm out. Fuck.